Welcome to All Waves Considered. I'm your host, Bzr Turner.
And I'm your host, Julius Spichani. So you have quite a reputation in a town you don't live in.
I'm coming back, but not right at the moment. So.
Yeah, but you've spent quite a bit of your life.
Yeah, I mean, I spent like 60 years on the island, and I'm 70 now. So I spent like 10 years, pretty much, 9 at least in California, and then the rest traveling around the United States. I was a catastrophe adjuster for 13 years. It took me inland a lot, which is, now I look back at it, it's very cool because I met a lot of very nice people, saw sites I'd probably never have gone to, because I just, being a surfer, I want to be with it, water and waves. So,
exactly.
Anyway, yeah.
Okay. Can you set me up on the story? So how did you get to Pensacola?
Oh, well, my father was in the construction business, and he worked for a man there in Atlanta, and my dad had been to Florida before, and he had gotten, I don't know, he's just tired of living in, I guess, Atlanta. So he was talking to this man, and just so happens, this man he worked for, he had a brother in Pensacola that had a construction company, and they're building lots of houses and things like that at the moment. That was like 1957, 8, something like that, and then not long those no time at all, we're on the island there in Pensacola, Santa Rosa Island, but they call it Pensacola Beach. And I was like 4 years old, and I'm sitting on this island going, wow, it's all water everywhere. And back then, there wasn't that many people that lived there, and there was not a super amount of vegetation. So it was a lot of black asphalt road and pure white sand everywhere.
So you're telling me that you're this young child. You said 4, right?
4, yeah.
You've just gone from Atlanta, Georgia, and now you're living on the beach. What does that look like?
It looked like I'd gotten out of somewhere and I didn't know where it was at, and went to almost heaven. It was like beautiful, crystal clear water, hardly any people, a lot of fish. Fish were abundant, and they still had the fishing pier there, but nothing anywhere in between. Back then Navarre didn't even have a pier. There was no road to Navarre. Matter of fact, my dad bought the fellow's house we owned out there. It was 1961, and it was third house from the end down there on whatever 20-something street it is there. And it was 3 houses back from being the end house, and there was no road to Navarre. We were living there when they started building the road to Navarre. Matter of fact, I used to go over there, being a little munchkin. They started building it. I was probably about 6. And my mom would let me kind of cruise over there and check it all out. She goes, don't get up there and you're too close to the equipment because, they big earth movers, all kind of stuff going on. And this man kept watching me, and I kept seeing him looking at me. And I saw him, he was a supervisor. And one day he comes over and he goes, hello. And he goes, what's your name? And I told him. And he goes, where do you live? And I just turned around pointing over there. And he goes, oh, okay. He goes, I got a grandson kind of about your age. And he goes, can you take me over to your house and let me talk to your mom? And I said, sure. So he took me over there and to ask my mom, tell her who he was and stuff, and said, hey, I'd like to take him down the road and show him, because I have to, survey it from time to time during the day. So that's cool. She goes, yeah. So I got to go on the road before it's ever totally built.
That's cool. That is so crazy. Sweet. That is so sweet. That's pre people suing. Some guy shows up at your house at hey, can I take this little kid on a ride?
Well, if it's been, if he was just wasn't doing what he was doing, my mom would have definitely said no. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And can you tell me a little bit about your family? It sounds like you have some wonderful, interesting characters in your family.
Oh, yeah. They're pretty cool. My mom was from Colorado, and her dad, of all things, he was in World War II, and he was on the USS Florida, some ship. And they were living in Colorado. He was working for Coors or something during Prohibition. Then the war started happening. He kind of got freaked out. He thought they were going to come invade, and whatever. And they had a pretty good-sized family anyway, and so they moved to Arkansas, and that's where she met my dad. He's from Arkansas. But my dad used to spend a lot of time in the Mississippi River. They lived right by the river, and that's where he learned how to swim. He told me he had 4 older brothers. He said one of them one day grabbed him and threw him in the river. And I said, what happened? It's about a mile later, I ended up on the shore.
Oh, my God.
And I said, you kidding me? And he goes, no. So when I was a kid, you're talking about that, my dad, he is a very experienced swimmer and stuff. And he taught my brother and I all about the rips and, everything about the water. Then we'd go out and what he called he called it body womping. And we'd go out, and I was, I'm still small. He goes, just hang on to my neck. And I'd put this life grip lock on his neck, We'd go. But it taught me, how to go into the waves and all kinds of stuff. It's pretty, it's beneficial. So, and then I got my brother was Herb. He's 4 years older than me, and he got in with a bunch of guys that surfed. And so he ended up getting a surfboard. And then I kept watching him, and I was like, of all things, he wouldn't let me use his board. older brother thing. Anyway, I had a neighbor, and he'd got an old foam, I mean, a real foam kind of board, and it had two metal pipes in it.
Uh-huh.
And we started taking that thing out until he totally broke it in half.
Yeah.
And then, I just go down to the beach and start asking guys. He'd come in out of the water, and I'd ask him, I'd go, hey, I don't have a board. Can I borrow your board? And he'd go, look at me. And I was a little bitty kid. He'd go, can you surf? I go, yeah. And then I go, by the way, my brother's Herb. I go, oh, Herb, you're Herb's brother? Because my brother, he would not even let me come to the pier.
Yeah.
When I first started surfing, because he said basically he didn't want his little brother there, but he didn't want me to get hurt, which I very well could have, So
probably both were true.
A lot of the guys, I told you, a lot of guys from California came that were military, but a lot of, back in the day, no internet, anything like that, had movies every blue moon. Well, the California companies would take their primary guys, put them in a van, load it up with surfboards, and they take off from California. They hit Texas, and the first place they hit over here was Pensacola. And I met Nueva. I met Jeff Hackman, Jock Sutherland, Bob Cooper, Mike Purpose, Dale Dobson, Mike Taylor, Nat Young in Pensacola. I mean, just list on and on and on of the guys. And when they came to town, I'd hear they were coming, and wherever they were at, I usually would see them at the beach, They'd come out there, and I remember one morning, my dad would always get up, early, because, especially in the summer, go to work. I'd get up, too, because I knew there's a little bit of wave, and I'd get on my bike, and we lived about a mile and a half from the pier. And I pedaled the bike down there, and I went out one morning, and it used to be super flat there at the pier, and the parking lot just kind of came right up there by almost where the rooms are, right there by the pier now. I'm out there, and it's about a foot and a half, maybe 2 foot sets. Yeah, I got a board. It's big enough to ride it, and I'm just hanging out. And I'm the only soul out there. His van pulls up, and I see this guy get out, and he's about 6'4", 6'5", tall, skinny guy. And I go, God, look at this guy. and he grabs a board, and I'm like, oh, I wonder who this guy is. He gets close, and I go, holy crap, that's Mike Tabley. And he paddles right up to me. He goes, hey, I'm Mike. And I go, yeah, Mike, I know who you are, but you don't know me. I said, I'm Bzr Turner. He goes, well, nice to meet you, Bzr. And it started talking. He goes, I see a board you ride. He goes, you ride Challenger surfboard, huh? I said, yeah, right now. And he's talking to me. He goes, I kind of think you've come to contests on East Coast stuff, huh? And I said, yeah. And he goes, well, what would you think about riding for Dewey Weber surfboards on the East Coast team? And I was like, well, that would be pretty cool.
He goes, hey, come on up. Were you?
He goes, come on up. I was probably 16.
Okay, wow. Okay. And you just randomly get recruited.
Yeah, so anyway, we walk up to the, he goes, come on up. I got somebody in the van I want you to meet. Walk up there. I start looking at the van. I'm looking at this guy and I go, holy crap, that's Nat Young. And sure enough, Mike goes, hey, Matt, get up and meet Bzr here. And he gets out and he goes, hey, mate, how are you? I'm like, I think, I was like, am I dreaming this? And so I shook his hand. He's like, I'm like skinny little kid, man. I'm weighing about 85 pounds. And here's a 6'4", about 185, 90-pound guy, looking at me, wild hair and stuff. And he goes, Matt goes, hey, Mike, let's go get something. I said, hey, Bill, Mike, there's one little convenience store down here. And I said, actually, my mom works in there. She'll be there. So let's go by and say hi. She'd like to meet you. And they go, oh, that's a good idea. So we go down there, and I come walking in. I go in first, and I go, hey, Mom. She goes, hey. I said, I got some friends with me here. And she goes, oh, that's nice. And she says hi to them. They go in the back and get something to drink. So we come up there, and Mike steps up there, and she goes, hi, how are you? And she goes, who are you? And he goes, oh, I'm Mike Taylor. And she goes, oh, heard all about you. He's just legend. And he goes, wow. And, really? And she goes, yeah, sure, my son's got some pictures of you on the wall down there or something. She goes, what do you mean? She goes, the room's covered with surf pictures. And she's laughing. And he's like, you're pretty cool. So the Nat sends that, and she goes, oh, I know who you are. And she goes, you're that Nat Young from Australia. And he goes, his jaw just drops down.
Your mom was well versed in surf.
Oh, yeah. And so she goes, this is the kicker, too. She goes, you and that David, the Hawaiian Nueva guy, is nothing but you and him, pictures all over my house down there. And he goes, what? And she goes, yeah, the room is covered. She goes, you go down there and have a look. She goes, you're welcome. And they go, Nat goes, I'd like to see that. And so we drive down to the house, which there was only like a quarter of a mile.
Right, yeah.
And they go, what a cool little house, and it was a cool house. Mom and Dad did a great job. And I open up the door and go in the room and go, oh, she wasn't kidding.
That's amazing.
And then I started seeing these pictures and started telling stories about the pictures.
Were you in disbelief? I felt like that feels like you're in a Twilight episode or something. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I could not believe it. And then I went over to the East Coast and hung out with them over there.
Jeez.
And of course, I got into the Weber team, for a while there, and blah, blah, blah. And yeah, Mike and I have been friends ever since till he passed away, unfortunately.
Wow. That is
Gary
so cool.
Gary Proper was one of the biggest legends over there forever. And then actually one year when it came out with the Gary Proper Hobie model, it sold more boards than any other Hobie model or anything. And I met him for a long time back and got to be real good friends with him too, which is kind of ironic because when I was growing up, they were like my total idols, even Claudia Codgen too. They were the three biggest guys,
Do you have any memories of that first time that you went to the East Coast and did a surf contest with them?
Remember the first time I went to the East Coast, I was 13 years old.
Okay.
A guy named Gary Workman had a surf team there called the Allen Surf Team. Mm-hmm. And there were Allen TP surfboards out the East Coast, and he sold them stuff. So I was on that, and I surfed in a contest here, and I won it in home. In the boys division, I think, and he was taking Yancey to the East Coast. Yancey goes, "Can you go?" And I said, "I don't think my mom will let me go." Mm-hmm. So, and I said, "Maybe if you talk to her or something." Yeah. And he goes, "I'll get Gary to call her." He goes, "I'll get Gary to call her." So she did. They let me go, and we went over there and went to Jackson. It was real big and sloppy, but then we went to Cocoa Beach, and I thought, I was like, "Oh my gosh, the waves were so good." Mm-hmm. Just little mellow kind of rollers everywhere. I was like stoked.
And what were you riding then?
That time probably an Allen TP, but it wasn't mine. That's probably my brother's or something. Because I was a little guy and I didn't have any money. My parents didn't have a whole bunch of money. The only reason my brother had these boards, he worked in there's a big giant ice machine they had. It was called at the time where the Circle K was called the Pack-a-Sack. And they had a huge ice machine. And my brother and our neighbor Tommy Hofer, which his dad at one time owned the service station out there, which was the Union 76, where the what's that thing is now, right across from Kirk's place, right across the street there. I forget it. It's a big old restaurant right there. That used to be a fire, Then there's a boat launch out back. You can see it.
Okay.
And that used to be a gas station.
Tom Hudson told me about the Pack-a-Sack. He told me about the fried potatoes that you'd get out of there. And
yeah, fried potatoes and barbecue sandwiches and chocolate milk was about 25 cents.
Yeah, nice. I love that.
Oh yeah, and then they had icing machines, and that was it. Then they actually one time had to put a donut place out beside the place, and it's just the history of the beach has been pretty colorful in a way. And in my opinion, one of the worst things they ever did is they tore down the whole the casino they had out there. It was a big giant complex, super cool layout and everything, and they tore it completely down. And that's where what is it? It was called Bogies at the time, but what do they call it now? Right up there by Tiffany's.
One of my favorite things about surfing is the relationships that we make through it. It was Charlie who connected me to you. How did you guys first meet?
Probably just surf contest down in Fort Walton.
Okay.
He'd come to Pensacola and surf when I think he's maybe a year older than me. Mm-hmm. And so we're pretty much the same division, and we battled it out quite a bit. He beat me sometimes. I'd beat him sometimes. And then, we battled out against Yancey as we got older. And Yancey was a tough one, man. I could beat him, but I couldn't. I don't think I ever beat him 2 times in a row. And probably about vice versa with me. So we kind of were neck and neck, and but we had different styles in the way we rode the waves. I like to come off the bottom and some right up to the top. Pretty famous for that kind of stuff, and and just different ways. And Yancey was more lower crouch surfer, kind of like a Reno style looking. Had a good, really clean, fast, aggressive style. Mm-hmm. He ripped it too, though, very much.
Yeah, Charlie got me this footage. It was from a Navarre competition, and it had Yancey, had Charlie, and it was so cool just watching, the style back then, and it seemed joyous, a lot of it, especially Charlie's style always looks like he's having fun.
Oh yeah, he's all over the place, he's that kind of, see, I ride, and it's kind of funny, all the guys in California you ride your longboard like a shortboard. Uh-huh. And it's true. I'll get up on the nose sometimes, but they're high performance boards, man. They're like, 2 3/4 inches thick, and they're 23 inches or 24 inches wide. They're thin, wide, but they got a pulled in nose more and a more pulled in, like a rounded pin. Mm-hmm. And I just ride a 3-fin setup, the bigger and fin in the middle, and the 2 side bites are really tiny. and it seems they work really good. And plus, you got the really soft rails and then really hard to tail. It's kind of been, I've been riding the same, Hank Warner's been shaping my board since his 50 years, I guess. Still making them, so they work very well. I can just tell him the length I want and how much I weigh at the time, and he'll make the board for me.
That's amazing. I love that. So when did that relationship first start? I've been trying to get Hank on the show.
And he'll do it. He's just probably busy. And he came to town with a guy named Neil Norris, which is a big-time shaper in Maui still, a really good surfer, too. They came to town, and Yancey met up with them, and Yancey formed a big relationship with Hank. And then I got to get to know him and everything, and then I went out there in 72. I just fell in love with San Diego. It was like so cool then. Mm-hmm. And surfing was, you could park right up there by the pier, Crystal Pier, Pacific Beach. It was awesome. So next year, I got a chance that Hank had told me, he goes, look, if you want to come out here, I have a place. You just have to sleep on the couch, but you can surf. I'm like a block from the beach. And he goes, all you got to do is pay me a little money. He goes, you have to get your job. I said, no problem. I got out there. Just so happens he goes, hey, you might want to go talk to the lady up there at the San Diego Surf Shop. He goes, he'd been seeing her youngest daughter, Mm-hmm. So he told her that I was coming, that I was a good guy. So I walked in there and I introduced myself, and she just we immediately hit it off. Mm-hmm. And so she goes, I'll give you a job if you want one. I said, yes, ma'am, I could definitely use one. And man, when I hit that yes, ma'am and no, ma'am stuff, she just ate that up, Well, I'm taught like that,
Right, yeah, yep.
That's respect.
Yeah.
And I said, she goes, oh, yeah. And then they started bringing me over to the house and feeding me and stuff because she knew I was living 19 years old and living with Hank. Mm-hmm. But, Hank. But back then, honestly, I was riding Gordon Smith. So I was riding on Skip Sports. And then I finally got off the Skip. Well, Skip left Gordon Smith. Mm-hmm. And Hank was there still. So I think he made me a couple boards. And also had Mike Eaton make me a board that rode really well. Pappy Eaton, they called him. What a trip that guy was. Super cool. Shaped for Bing surfboards forever. Made all the Bzrs and stuff.
Mm-hmm. My favorite picture you sent me is you with a GNS board.
Oh, yeah. That's a whole way back. And then did you see the one picture with the ad? That was an ad for them they ran.
That's right. Yep.
They did a couple of them. There's another one at me, K38 in Mexico they ran. But I had a lot of pictures, and when Opal hit and it ripped part of the roof off of my family's house and all the photographs. That's before you could put anything digital and stuff, So a lot of my pictures I had and stuff long gone, but
all the posters of your heroes that your mom knew and showed up at her workplace.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Tell me more about you. You're 19. You travel cross country. Some guy says you can live on his couch, and then you just immediately get a job. You start creating these relationships. What was that like? That's amazing for a 19-year-old.
That was insane. And then that's when the Maury came out with the Boogie boards, and I told Barbara, her name was Barbara Dival. I said, Barbara, we need to get some of those Boogie boards. She goes, you think? I said, yeah. I said, kids will eat it up to try them and stuff. And she goes, okay, we'll get some. And started going so well, we bought more. And so the days I had off, I'd be out renting Boogie boards. And if not, we'd probably get one of the other kids or something. And we only lost a couple, but it made enough money to put all new carpet in. And this is over just a little course of, I don't know how many months, 2 or 3 months in the summer there. Made enough money. She put new carpet in her house, made enough money for me to go straight to Hawaii.
That's amazing. So you had your pulse on the ocean surf culture, and you were able to make that happen.
Oh, yeah, that's cool. I had in 1979, I had, back in the day, way back before all the other guys were in the Smith stuff, we had Blue Shearer. And that was a guy named Jay Stone out of Santa Monica. And he was real big for the skateboard industry. He'd done the surfer kind of skateboarding thing and made a lot of money on it. But then he opened up a surf shop called Ocean Surf Shop there on Santa Monica. Well, it was Wilshire Boulevard, about a mile from the road down to PCH. And I worked for him for like a year, and oh boy, I met some characters out there. That was interesting. But I got to become pretty good buddies with Mike Perry, and Mike unfortunately just passed away this year. And he was always into Australia, and he spent a lot of his life down there in Australia. But he shaped me some boards, and they rode really well. I was very impressed. But it was kind of cool. I worked there at the shop, and then I'd go up, and I had a brown van, a Volkswagen van is all brown. We call it brown sugar. Drive it up and see Mike, and it was pretty cool. He lived up in somewhere up above Malibu up in the hills up there, and if it was any good surf, I was going up to pick up blanks from him that he'd shake, and he wouldn't have to drive them in. And yeah, we had good times. But that's Santa Monica, man. I met some pretty crazy people there.
I'm curious. You were talking about selling the boogie boards, making money, and then you were saying you made enough money to go to Hawaii. What was that?
Yep.
What was that first trip like?
Insane. Actually, I think I waited because we went to the second U.S. Surfing Championships, which was in South Padre, Texas. Went to that. And then after that, we went back to San Diego. And no, excuse me, we didn't. We left there and went to Pensacola. And the surf got so good, we postponed our trip because it was surf for like 12 days straight. And the point in the bay was working. And then we left from there and went to Hawaii, and I got there and stayed with Mark Fu's mom and dad, and then his buddy Bobby Owens, which became one of my buds, and his mom was in real estate, and she got us a townhouse on it was, at that time it was called the Kulima, but now I think it's this Turtle Bay Hilton or something like that. And it's got a big golf course, and we had apartments there, and they had a couple bedrooms in it, and it was Bobby Owens, Mark Fu, Bernie Crouch from the East Coast, Mad Dog Surfboards, and myself. And for like 6 months, and surfing every day, everywhere, 2, 3. We'd be sitting there just waiting for the wind to switch. We'd be on it, you know. And Bobby had been living there for quite a while. I think Bobby's from East Coast. He had somehow, his parents, I think his dad was military, and they went to Hawaii, and they loved it. They ended up staying. Bernie's full on. He's over there from near Daytona Beach.
And Mark Fu, that's another Pensacola surfer that has a really good reputation. When did you guys become friends?
Oh, wow. Like 1970.
Okay.
It was up in Maryland. I saw him, and the guy said, "Yeah, this is a little guy. True, he lives over near Washington. His dad's works for the government, but he just comes over here and hangs with people to surf. And he was dying to surf all the time, and he was okay, then. But man, he was foo. He just always talking, always doing live wire, never slowed down until he went to bed. It's pretty trippy. But anyway, he got to know us real well, and these guys were living there, and this one older guy had a house there, and had a couple of guys that lived there for a while and stuff, and they one of them was a surfer, and he talked Fu into coming to Pensacola. And Fu did, and ended up going to finish off his last year of high school. Okay. Yeah, at Gulf Breeze.
Yeah, I think Charlie was saying that Fu and Peanut were really good friends.
And I knew Peanut pretty well. Peanut was he was a good guy, man. He was just so nice, and he dated a lady that I used to rent from her house forever until he died. He died. She'd been dating him forever. That was not great times, but anyway, yeah, Peanut was a good guy, good surfer too, really good. Had a very aggressive style. And he's a swimmer like his brother Charlie, man. Those guys could just paddle-thons, man.
The lifeguards. Yeah,
that's it.
You've been engaged in surfing for a while. Have you felt like cultural changes, or what have you seen as things have gone on?
It's totally changed, bro. It's like, I think it's made numerous changes, honestly. From every so many years, it kind of changes to me, especially as the board changes. I mean, I look at boards now. In fact, I was just thinking if I had a couple of those boards that these guys have now, when I was my age, younger, what I could do with them. Yeah. And and I see what they're doing with them. I'm pretty sure I could probably have done it too. But our boards were very, I don't know. Some of them, that's why I rode a lot of eggs. Yeah. Hank and Skip made me. They were kind of roundish and softer rails and hard in the back, and they just worked. I think I sent you that one picture of me with a turquoise-looking board. And I stand there, and I got real long hair.
I'll have to relook at them. I'll post. I'll put that one up.
It's got a big rainbow single fin on it. That's about. Hanky made me that one, and I think I got good. I did good in that contest with that board, though. Can't remember. I usually always got between first and third. But I was, the guys I served against all the time was Jeff Crawford and Greg Lohr. And those guys are, they're very famous, good surfers, man, and it was tough.
Yeah. Mike Hayes was saying if you had one board on the Gulf Coast, it would be an egg.
You're talking about Purple Haze.
Yeah, Purple Haze. Yeah, exactly.
I gave him that name.
Did you?
Yeah. It's funny. Yeah. That's true. Because it works in pretty much all conditions. Yeah.
Is there any last thing that you want to say? Is there any one last question or story you want me to ask you or you want to tell?
I don't know. I just appreciate a lot of people out there in Pensacola, especially the Interlight guys and even the Water Boys guys have always been very generous to me and nice. And, I know Ricky Bullock and I know Sean very well too. Been good fans. Matter of fact, had some stuff with Sean way back in the day when he was just starting off. He's asking me a bunch of questions about stuff. And it's cool. I just appreciate all those guys, especially Bill over to Interlight and JB for sure. Every time I go there, they always still give me my team discount. And it's kind of funny if you look at that one shirt that Big Yance had made years ago. It had about every team member ever on it. And I was laughing out. People were going, "Are you on there?" And I go, "Yeah, check it out." And they go, "Oh, you're the first guy."
Yeah. Wow. That's
yeah,
cool.
but I had a lot of respect for the Spencers, and especially Big Yance, man. He helped me a lot of ways, and I don't know if I ever really got the chance to thank him, but I do, It's very gracious to me. So.
Father time, I hear the tick, 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 ticking of your clock.
Thanks for watching Always Considered. I'm your host, Bzr Turner. Hope you enjoyed it.
Nothing is ours, and we've lost all control to make it stop. Please just make it stop. So you find yourself going out on New Year's Eve, surrounded by such sad company. But don't feel bad, you've got your whiskey and your Sprite, and in the pocket of your jacket is a pack of Marlboro Lights and a plastic bag full of mushrooms, and a plastic bag full of mushrooms. It's gonna make you, it's gonna shake you, it's gonna take you to the moon. It's gonna wake you, it's gonna break you, it's gonna make you change your tune. And everybody's talented, and everybody's stoned, and I feel like I wanna go back home. And everybody's wasted, and everybody's cool, and I feel like I'm back in high school. It's gonna make you, it's gonna shake you, it's gonna take you to the moon. It's gonna wake you, it's gonna break you, it's gonna make you change your tune. And everybody's talented, and everybody's stoned, and I feel like I wanna go back home. And everybody's wasted, and everybody's stoned, and I feel like I'm back in high school. I hear the tick, 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 and make
Back in high school. Back in high school.
Tick, 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 tick,
Back
make
in
it
high
stop.
school.
It's gonna and a plastic bag full of mushrooms.
Thank y'all. That's a brand new song called To the Moon. Appreciate it. Appreciate it, y'all. So we write songs about more than just like mushrooms.
I know, those are just the first two. When I think about you, I imagine your New Orleans style apartment and that lime green paint that's flaking off the earphones. Stand up. When I think about you, I imagine your roommate cat out on the balcony and your cold bedroom sitting vacant out in the hallway. And there's a water tower hovering noisily above your heavy head. Now they're covered it up with a blanket